Hello everyone. My name is Deep. Once I believed that love could conquer anything, that if I tried hard enough, endured long enough, I would be loved in return. But life doesn't always reward those who endure. Sometimes it just breaks them, and sometimes it teaches them how to stand back up. Today he came back, the man who once called me his wife, the same man who threw me out of our home because I couldn't give him a son. He stood in front of me with tired eyes and trembling hands. "I've been looking for you everywhere," he said. "I was wrong. Please come home with me." His voice was softer than I remembered. There was pain in it. Regret, but it was too late for softness. I asked him why now. He said, "I won't force you to have children anymore. I'll quit drinking. I'll change." I wanted to believe him, I really did. But I remembered the night he slammed the door in my face, the days I wandered with nowhere to go, the cold stares, the cruel words, the silence of his family when I cried for help. "I've told my parents everything," he said. "They know it wasn't your fault. They want you back too." He knelt down right there on the ground. "Please. I'll fix everything. I just need you." But some things can't be fixed. Some wounds stop bleeding but they never really heal. I looked at him, not with anger but with the quiet strength I had to grow all on my own. "I'm not going back," I said. "That house is not my home anymore." He looked like a man lost in his own choices, and maybe he was. He whispered, "I can't live without you." I replied, "Then learn how." Just like I did. He didn't know what to say, and I didn't need to hear anything else. He walked away slowly. I watched him go without tears, because the tears had already been cried, and now I choose myself. When he walked away I didn't cry, not because I didn't feel anything but because the tears had already dried long ago. What remained in me was not sadness but a quiet sense of clarity. That moment didn't break me. It released me. I stood there for a while letting the wind brush past my face. The world felt different now, not easier, but mine. I had no money, no proper clothes, and nowhere to call my own. But I still had 2 hands, a will to survive, and a daughter who needed me to stay strong. And for the first time in a long while I believed that was enough to start with. That morning I heard someone mention a field where old water spinach had been left to rot. They said the vegetables had flowered, were no longer worth selling. But I didn't care. To them it was waste, to me it was a chance. I went there with an empty basket and a hopeful heart. The sun was high, the ground wet, and my shoes were soaked within minutes. I bent down and began picking, gently, carefully, searching for the youngest leaves, the softest stems. It was tiring, my hands ached, my back hurt. But with every stalk I gathered I felt like I was piecing myself back together. They were just bunches of vegetables to anyone else, but to me they were dignity. The beginning of something I could call my own. The next morning I woke up before the sun. I tied my hair back, cleaned the mud off my sandals as best I could, and placed the bundles of water spinach carefully into a worn-out basket. They weren't perfect. Some were a little wilted, others too thin, but they were mine. As I walked toward the village market I could feel people staring. My clothes were old, my hands still smelled faintly of soil, but I kept walking. I found a small corner near the edge of the market, spread out a piece of cloth, and laid the bundles down one by one. At first no one stopped. They looked, then looked away. Some smiled politely, some just ignored me. Then a woman paused. She picked up a bunch, turned it in her hand, and asked how much. 5,000, I said, voice soft but steady. She nodded, handed me the money, and walked away. It was only one sale, but it felt like the world had cracked open just a little to let the light back in. As the morning passed a few more people came. Some bargained, some complained, one even wrinkled her nose and muttered, "Smells like poverty." But I didn't flinch. I smiled. I thanked them. I kept selling, because today I was not begging, I was earning, and that made all the difference. The morning air felt heavier than usual as I stood outside the company gates. This was the largest agricultural company in the area, clean, organized, and far beyond anywhere I had worked before. I had no papers. No resume. No degrees. All I had was one neatly folded shirt, my hands, and a quiet kind of courage. Around me people looked confident, well-dressed and well-prepared. They carried documents. They spoke in firm tones. I stood quietly near the back, unsure if I belonged. But I had come this far, I couldn't walk away now. When they opened the doors, I stepped in with the others. A woman at the table handed out forms. "Do you have your documents?" she asked. I shook my head. "No, I don't have any," she frowned. "Then you're not qualified." I moved aside, watching others get called in. One by one they walked into the interview room. Their shoes didn't carry the dust mine did. Their faces didn't carry the sunburn I wore. Two women nearby whispered just loud enough, "She's here to apply for a job." Like that, "She smells like she came from the fields." I heard them, but I didn't respond, not because I didn't feel the sting, but because I refused to let it define me. Finally someone called for applicants for manual labor. I stepped forward. "Do you have any work experience?" I nodded. "I've worked in fields. I can do anything with my hands." They looked at me from head to toe. No folder. No shoes with shine. No soft voice, just a tired woman with too little to offer. "You should try somewhere else," one of them said. "You won't survive here." I gave a small bow. "Thank you for your time," I said, and just like that I turned around, my back straight, my eyes forward. Even though my heart felt like it had cracked open again, I had tried, and once again it wasn't enough. But I wasn't going to beg, I wasn't going to cry. I had walked into that building with nothing, and I would walk out with dignity. What I didn't know was that someone had seen it all. And something was about to change. Just as I reached the door ready to leave with nothing but my pride, a voice called out from behind, "Wait." The room fell silent. Even the ones who mocked me stopped talking. I turned slowly. At the far end of the hallway stood a man in a dark shirt, sleeves rolled up, eyes calm but commanding. He didn't look like the others in the room. He didn't speak like them either. "Why is she leaving?" he asked. "She has no documents, sir," someone replied. "She's not qualified." He stepped forward, and yet she was the only one who didn't complain. Didn't argue. Didn't beg. His eyes met mine. They weren't cold or curious. They were steady, like he had already made a decision. "What's your name?" he asked. "Diep," I said, voice barely above a whisper. He nodded. "Diep, you're hired." Gasps filled the room. Someone muttered, "She?" "For what position?" Another added, "She doesn't even look clean." He turned to them. "She showed up. She waited. She tried." That's more than most. I stood frozen, unsure if I had heard him right. Was this real, or just a moment that would disappear if I blinked too fast? Then he said, "You'll start tomorrow. We'll arrange proper clothes for you." His voice was neither soft nor harsh, just honest. I nodded, not trusting myself to speak. There were no tears, not yet, but inside something had cracked, not in pain, but in quiet relief. I came here with nothing. I expected nothing. But someone finally looked beyond the dirt, beyond the silence, beyond the bruises life had left, and for once someone saw me, not as a burden, not as a mistake, but as someone worth choosing.
Hello, xin chào mọi người, lại là mình đây. Thì như ở tập trước thì CEO Jim đã tìm cách để minh oan cho Diệp. Chính vì vậy mà tập này xung quanh vấn đề chồng cũ của Diệp đến xin lỗi để cứu vãn lại cái cuộc hôn nhân này. Đấy, bởi vì vậy mà bởi vì Diệp không sinh được con nên bị đuổi ra khỏi nhà ấy. Nhưng mà đến lúc này thì Diệp đã quyết định là không quay trở lại nữa để tìm cái hướng đi, bước đi mới cho mình. Đấy, chính vì vậy mà cô đã đi xin việc. Thật là trùng hợp thì lại xin việc vào đúng của công ty CEO James. Đấy thì Diệp thì là một người phụ nữ ở trên vùng núi nên là bằng cấp và kinh nghiệm cũng không có ấy. Nên là Liệu cô ấy có được nhận không
Hello
thì
everyone.
mọi người hãy
My name is
theo dõi tập tiếp theo nhé. Mình cảm ơn các bạn đã theo dõi tập phim. Nếu cảm thấy hay thì các bạn hãy like và subscribe kênh của mình. Mình xin chân thành cảm ơn các bạn. Mình đang làm tập này cho các bạn đây. Sau khi mọi người nhắc mình quên mất mình tắt. Chào mọi người, hẹn mọi người ở sau nha.